Countdown, you was too lit. You was like, oh,
Let's go.
we about to play microphone.
I know it.
She can't help it.
I really can't. This is the dream, girl. A countdown in? Okay.
Oh my God. She's living. Oh my God. Welcome to I Just Called to Say, your reality TV and pop culture podcast. I am your host and your reality TV bestie, Megan Pew Pew. And you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Megan_Pew Pew. And you can also follow on the fun at I Just Called to Say podcast. Today, we have a very special guest host. She is an NYC-based comedian, and she is the host of not one, but two podcasts that you can listen to anywhere podcasts can be heard. Welcome to the podcast, Jessie! Pew, 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 pew.
I'm only going to say your name that way now.
Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah, pew, pew. I was like, I should have a cool way to say my last name too. But also, not even needed.
How are you feeling? What is on your TV? What's new?
Okay, well, I just started watching this show on Peacock called, I think it's The Real Girlfriends of Paris. Have you seen that show?
I tried to get into it. I saw a couple of episodes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, see, sometimes I love bad TV.
And I love a bad movie, but I don't do a bad reality TV show, I think is what it is.
I hear you.
And that sounds a little crazy for me to say. I sound so elitist. I don't do bad reality TV because the reality is most reality TV is trash.
Is in fact bad.
But I do high quality production on my reality TV. So a reality TV show where you're like, there's money behind this.
Yeah,
now, are the people themselves interesting? Not necessarily.
But
these are also the same people who were eating their food out of styrofoam. And I just feel like if you're going to be on reality TV, that's just my rule of thumb. Don't eat out of styrofoam. Put your food on a plate. The camera's watching.
Yeah.
Be a little classy. That's the one way you can class it up if you're on the Real Housewives. You can't eat out of the takeout. You got to put the takeout on China.
I think that is kind of the thing about reality is that a lot of it is elitist. A lot of it is a look into a world that a majority of people don't belong in. And so there is but I think that's why I like Summer House so much is I'm like, oh, these people are like me. I mean, I think they can afford, but I'm like, but their backbone, I'm like, I could be those are people I could hang out with, or those are people like me. Unlike
and they make you feel realistic because it's 8 people in one house renting it. It's not like it's 2 couples. You're like, I could never afford that. It's a real share house.
Yeah. And I think I don't know, then you find out that all these people are going bankrupt behind the scenes, aren't eating out of styrofoam, but maybe they should be. You know what I mean? They should be. So there's a part of me that finds it more real when it is more of a mess. Especially, any first season of a show, you can tell we're trying to find our legs.
I love a first season to second season glow up. And I love making fun of the glow up because there are things that could be the same person who was eating out of styrofoam, and then season 2, they're only on the Hermes China. And you're like, bitch, you didn't even know about that last season. How did we get here?
Yeah. And that's the thing. They're trying to be somebody else. I think that's a huge thing in reality TV.
Wait, can we back it up a little bit? Going back to how did we get here? Can you tell the people a little bit about you and any connection that you might have to the show that you mentioned, Summer House?
I know. How funny. Well, actually, very fun fact. So I have been on Real Housewives of New York and Summer House. All of it was very much a fluke. So I worked at Betches, which is a media, maybe I'm not allowed to say that. Whatever. I worked at this media company where some other people on Summer House.
Say it like they said it on Summer House.
Yeah. What did they say? They're like,
the millennial company.
A millennial company. Yeah. And so I was really good friends with Hannah. And so I'm in it for a second when she was making a video for her podcast, and I was directing a lot of videos at the time with her. So I'm in it for a second there, which was very fun. I mean, I knew like Jordan, who, you know, what a wild member. Yeah. And then a few years ago too, my friend was doing a comedy show, and like a few days before, she was like, it actually might be on Real Housewives of New York. I was like, what? I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like Luann's gonna host it. I was like, okay, what a different direction this show has gone in. That was one of the worst experiences, only because like we were trying to do a show, and then the women were like doing their show at the same time. So there were two shows happening at once, you know? And I think like
did
the
you
audience,
actually do stand up on
yeah.
this episode? Can you see it on the episode?
Yeah, on the episode, I say, I mean, the clip they used is so funny. It's like me being like, I had trichotillomania, which is where I used to pull my hair out. That's the clip they use. And then that's the clip they use. And then like essentially, like,
is this when y'all are like in like an arcade, like an adult arcade
yes!
type place?
It's
I
that
remember
bar.
this
It's
episode.
that bar, which
I
by the way,
remember
they do all of their, I mean, that's where Summer House
they went
member,
down a slide. There's like a slide in there.
yeah, that's like, that's a bar that it's like, we do reality shows, like bring your reality crew in here. So that was, they've done like a lot of, at least like Summer House dates are there, a lot of them. And then, yeah, that's where that show was.
Oh my God, amazing.
And
Okay.
there was a big
that
fight
soundbite they
downstairs.
used for you. It was
They did me dirty, but
they
I
did
loved
you
it.
dirty.
Ask me if I've ever gotten more messages in my life from like people in high school. They were like,
They're
Jessie,
like, hey
is
girl,
that
you good?
you? I'm like, well, you know, whenever you do that, they're like, it probably won't make the show. And you're like, absolutely. I wouldn't expect it to. Like, you know, you just are like, I doubt it'll make it. And then when a little bit of it does, you're like, wow, how cool. I'm sure no one will see it or recognize me.
Don't worry, guys. I'll add the clip in here.
Yeah, add that clip. That was when I used to straighten my hair too. So times have changed.
I'm gonna bring a different energy if that's okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
All good. You need all good energy.
I have something called trichotillomania. It's a disorder where you pull out the hair on your head.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, growth. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about like reality TV and throwbacks, but first, let's play a little game. This or that. Who's the most entertaining? Okay.
Ooh,
So
okay.
it's going to give you two options, and out of the two, you have to pick who is the most entertaining. And the
Okay.
reality is, you guys, if you're watching this, you're going to see how old we actually are. I feel like this is going to give away our age easily.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so this or that.
Wow.
Paris Hilton or Nicole Richie?
That's really hard because they were a really perfect duo, I will say.
But of the two on The Simple
of
Life,
the
who was the
two-
more entertaining?
I think it was Nicole.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
Nicole was the one who was like really like had great one-liners and willing to
You
like
smell like
do it.
onions.
Yeah, I mean, she was just going for it. She was great. Yeah. Oh, that would be a fun one to watch again, to be honest.
That's a good one to go back. I mean, because that was
Yeah.
reality TV at its prime. This was like 2003,
Yeah, almost when
2002
it
when
was
this came out.
invented.
Truly, because for those who don't know, reality TV, like the prime reality TV, was
Yeah.
birthed out of a strike during the 90s. So, you know, they had to create something because the writers weren't working. And they're like, we got to create something. So we're just going to put the camera on these everyday people. And so that's how we got the birth of like reality TV lifestyle and competition shows.
Right.
So our generation did get the best of the best.
And the Osbournes was kind of like
Yes.
the
Osbournes
OG.
were exactly. That was like the true lifestyle of the rich and famous following a family type
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
And then Kris Kardashian got inspired by them.
Yeah. She said, me too. Me next.
I'm next. Who's next?
And I forget what interview I saw where apparently she pitched it around to all these places and everyone passed until she got Ryan Seacrest attached.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's keep it going then.
Okay.
This or that? Who's the most
This is
entertaining
graphic.
show? Cast. We got the Jersey Shore or The Hills?
I can't believe you're doing this to me. That's so difficult. That's really hard. Now, that's hard. Because you're not asking, well, I have to say Jersey Shore because that was like, if you weren't watching it, you were going to get bullied.
And it was, honestly, I think they were, okay, so it's two different approaches how I look at it. I look at them as like going out shows. Who do I want to go out and be tonight in my youth? I was like, do I want to party like Jersey Shore? Or do I want to party like The Hills? And The Hills, those were some cool, classy ass bitches. You know, they were always blinking, silence, staring, drinks,
Oh my God. Yeah, cool. Like knew
but I'm
how
like,
to
but the
flirt.
Jersey Shore, they knew how to flirt. They had the outfits.
Yeah.
They had the outfits. But the Jersey Shore, I'm like, that felt doable. I was like, I feel like I can go out and I will be that energy.
Totally. And I mean, like, cabs I hear, like, all those lines that, like, you had to be watching the show to know, you know?
Cabs here.
Yeah. Or, like, I want a gorilla, whatever.
Smush
like,
room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, come on.
The bump.
The bump.
Snooki with the bump.
Or how about, like, the halter tops that we used to wear? And it was, like, a baby doll style halter top. And it always had, like, some, like, emblem sequence right there.
Yeah. Remember when they went to Italy?
And then everyone in Italy, like, hated them?
Yeah. But that was huge. That was huge.
That was the season when the situation rammed his head into the wall. And then he had the neck brace.
Oh my God. That's what they went so hard on Jersey Shore that it was like, and one of my first jobs, I worked at MTV and they were always like, we're looking for the next Jersey Shore. And I was like, good luck. Like, I don't know how you're going to find, because they were unaware at the time. That's why it's so crazy is first season, like even second a little, they were so unaware of what it was going to be, which I think I hate when people are aware. Like when they won't eat out of styrofoam, because I'm like, oh man, they know, like they're calculating like how this is going to look. And it's so much more fun when they don't.
Yes. And social media, I definitely feel like plays a part because people are thinking, how is everyone going to react to me? And they can catch me on social media. And I definitely feel that people, like when I think about Love is Blind, I think about the first season, those people had no idea what the fuck this experiment was. Yeah. Second season, they were like, okay, I know what to do, what to say, and how to look so I don't look crazy or something like that. Totally. And to the point, like now, the show, it's like they're already talking and breaking the fourth wall in a way where it's like, well, I don't want to look like the bad guy to America. And it's like, not you bringing America into your dating situation.
How dare you bring me up? Yeah, truly.
Right. Worry about your love life and I'll judge you later.
You know I will. I'll judge you the whole time. And then sometimes, like, you know, when people are like, I can't believe Trevor had a girlfriend. I'm like, but how could no one's like in a pause zone in life. Like, and no one's going to be like, all right, I'm going to go on this show. I'll hit you up after if I'm not engaged. If I'm not engaged.
I'm concerned for that woman who was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, she's like still texting.
And listen, I know. Well, because they could be like, I'm just doing it for clout. You're like, okay. I don't know. I think the whole thing is mucky with that, but I get it. A part of me is like, we get it. Let's not pretend we don't get it.
We get it.
Like, we get it. I'm like, there's no one on that show that didn't bring their ex in some way or another. I'm like, we all get it. We were all doing something.
We're all doing something. And how were you supposed to know you were going to get cast? You didn't know.
No.
You were living life.
Although I will say, yeah, I'll never forget the black tear running down Elsie's face. Remember that?
The mascara tear.
Iconic.
That was over Jason, wasn't it?
Oh, it really was. I think wasn't it her and Adriana?
Heidi. Her and Heidi's relationship. What?
Girl, and that hit us all. And I was like, you can't
She was like,
write
you're not
that.
my friend, Heidi. You're never my friend.
Or she's like, I'm going to forgive you and I'm going to forget you. And I was like, come on.
Oh my God. And you know what was special about the reality TV shows on MTV? They were
Yeah.
Shazamming for us. Remember that they would always have good music underscoring the
Yes!
reality TV shows, and they would let you know. And I'm like, yes, I appreciate that, MTV. Y'all were ahead of your time.
You're so right. I
Like
remember,
MTV was like, we're not playing music anymore, but we will tell you what music we are playing on the shows.
they would launch careers that way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You'd be like, this is so moody and so hauntingly
So
beautiful. Who
good.
is this?
Yeah,
And
you're
they'd be
right.
like, it's Sia. It's just early Sia.
Yeah. And you were like, I'll look it up. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Or Imogen Heap. That was also a common one.
Oh my gosh.
Just like any indie artists. They were getting
Truly, it was fire. It was fire over there.
Like the rest is still
Jersey
unwritten.
Shore
Come
can't
on.
tell you a song from that, you know? Can't tell you one.
No. You know what? When I think of Jersey Shore music, I just go straight to like Skrillex or Dead Mouse.
Yeah, it's definitely like
Yeah.
totally. You were like, whoa.
I wanna take you high, 'cause we are gonna get there tonight. You know what I'm talking about?
No, but I love it. I'm like, kinda. I'm rocking to it.
Someone out there knows which one I'm trying to sing. Okay, last question.
Okay, last question.
This or that. Who is the better host? Tyra or Ryan?
Yeah, it's Tyra. I mean, hands down, it's Tyra.
We were all rooting for you.
We were all rooting for you. All of the clips, and I don't know, sometimes my friend will send me random clips from her talk show where it's like, God, what was it? You know, where she wears like a fat suit and she's like, I know what it's like. And you're like, Tyra, stop it.
She was so toned up. And honestly, I feel like I'm not proud of it, but I just feel like, again, I sound so old, y'all, because I'm just getting there. But our generation, millennials, we got a different kind of thick skin.
Yeah.
It's like these shows, they don't stand up today, but there's something about them. Like the way that she was making people get these makeovers.
Yeah.
Like, she was blowing people's self-esteem.
Oh my God, they had to hold up their weight. Remember they had to hold up their weight?
She was so problematic. It was so entertaining. She was
so
having people get naked season 1. And we were like, Tyra, no one gets naked on reality TV. and now you're making this a staple every season that we got to get naked for a photo shoot.
Yeah, it was like she was so problematic, but she was problematic for everyone. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, well, there was nothing. It was just so crazy with her. But she was a master at, like, I feel like there would have been, if we had social media back then, the clips that would have come out of it. I remember one time she came into like the model house during Top Model and pretends to have like a seizure. Remember?
Is that when she like faints in her chair? And they're like, oh my God, Tyra, are you okay?
And then she's like, acting. And everyone's like, what?
Wait, well, there's another time where she faints and she's like, I think we just all need to go to Barcelona.
Like the up and down it must have felt on that show. And there's that clip of a girl who's like, actually, I don't want to do this. And everyone, I remember being so mad at her as a kid watching, being like, how could you turn down this opportunity? And now I'm like, that's the strongest woman that's ever lived. Can we see what she's doing now? And she was like, this seems unhealthy. I don't want to do this.
It's like the things that we thought were controversial for reality TV. Like, honestly, going back to The Hills, remember when Lauren didn't go to Paris? And it was like, she didn't go to Paris. But honestly, when I still think back, I'm like, that was controversial. You didn't go to Paris for a man that you then broke up with. That's embarrassing.
And you could tell that man was guilt tripping her not to go. I think that was the biggest issue too.
That's when she should have known he was sus. And he ended up being, I mean, I'm sorry that he ended up being an alcoholic and now he's sober. But those were red flags. There were signs.
But I think, you know what's wild, at least for me, that, like, I remember watching that and feeling like the relationships I have had, it was like comforting to see even a really strong beautiful woman like going through that too, where I was like, okay, I've made that mistake. Let me be very clear. And like, you don't feel as alone, where now everyone is just, being like, I wish I had the courage back then to be like, wow, you're not supporting me. I'm not going to be with you anymore. I was like, I'll give up everything.
And we were looking at shows like that to like guide us through relationships.
I
Because when I think about relationships on reality TV, I'm like, let's think about what shows were you watching growing up?
Yeah, that I was
Let's
watching.
walk down memory lane. We got The Hills.
Just a reality. OC was the original, or Laguna Beach, I meant.
Laguna Beach, yeah. Did you ever watch that Life of Ryan? It was about Ryan Sheckler, the skateboarder. Oh my God. That used to come on MTV as well. I was watching a lot of my Super Sweet 16, so I had Delusion as well.
I was like, Mom, Dad, why don't you have more money? Like, what is up with that? I'm like, why are my invitations emails where this girl's going on a horse, inviting people, with an iPad? What's happening?
But even like the early dating shows, they were such garbage to us. Like the Next, Rock of Love.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I Love New York. Flavor of Love.
Flavor of Love. I mean, The Bachelor, which obviously is still going strong, but early years, yeah.
Do you remember Joe Somebody? It was like this guy who was like an everyday guy, and they made him out to be like a rich guy, and then the women would fall in love for him, and then at the end of it, he'd be like, actually, I have no money.
Yeah, they were like, joke's on you, and everyone was like, well, it's weird that you lied this whole time. That's probably the weirdest part,
So you wanted to start a relationship based on a lie.
Fully on a lie that you've been leaning into hard. I know, that was a crazy one. I guess I have always been into reality TV.
It's always
even like Survivor. I wasn't allowed to watch TV during the week. The only show I was allowed. Oh,
we had those kind of parents. It was like, no, you can't watch it on a school night.
Yeah, the only show we were allowed to watch on a school night was Survivor. Because my dad would have us teach us a lesson afterwards, pretty much, which is like power corrupts absolutely. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it was like, okay, cool. Can't believe we're getting to watch a show during the week. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Maybe that's why we're obsessed with TV now. Because
they deprived us.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Because I go hard on TV. I'm like, so don't take it away from me.
Literally. I'm like, Jessie, why do you feel the need to watch 20 hours in a row? And I'll be like, I guess because what if it ever stopped again?
Okay. Like, guys, I fall asleep with the TV on. I just set a sleep timer so my TV goes off. Like, as we're talking right now, the TV is on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It's just on mute. Like, she is always comforting me. Like, TV is always there.
Wow.
And I'm not embarrassed. At first I was embarrassed. I was like, bitch, you need to read a book. But now I'm like, don't be embarrassed, but you should still read a book.
Yeah, I mean, I do shame myself a lot sometimes. And I'll be like, I'm going to throw my TV out the window. I'm going to be like, I'm going to get rid of my TV because what if I'm not happy with my TV? And then I'm like, you shouldn't do like the all or nothing thing. Like you should just have a happy, good relationship with it.
Right.
But it can be hard.
And people are counting on us, Jessie. We have to do the Lord's work to watch these shows and report back and know what's trendy, what's popping.
Yep.
Who's a fuck boy, who's not.
Yeah. And that is our job. That's the thing.
We're boots on the ground kind of people.
If it's not us, who would?
Who would?
Literally, who would?
Do you have any like predictions for what you think like next reality TV shows will be, or any theories about current reality TV shows?
Like, okay, right now I'm obviously obsessed with Summer House. The same way I was obsessed with like Vanderpump, like, because when you know what's gonna happen, like when you are in the future, and so you literally know what's gonna happen, and then you get to kind of like micro watch every little thing because you're like, I know what happens. Like, I know these people aren't going to be together. I know this person's doing something shady in this moment as we're watching. It makes it kind of wild because I don't think that we get to watch people, or maybe it's like, I think it's crazy to watch people lie or pretend, or sometimes they're pretending so hard to themselves, but you're like, I know the future. So it's just like, it's crazy to watch.
And it's like, at what point have you like been so delusional or so trapped up in this world that you forgot there's a camera on you? It's keeping receipts. Like you forgot the camera. Like classic examples, like when Kristen Doty lies. And then
Right.
like we actually have like footage of her like giving the lie. And then it's even funny because once you make the lie, producers are just going to keep re-putting that footage of you every single season.
I
Like, case in
know.
point. You're like, but how did you forget we were going to catch you? It's like when people cheat on reality TV. It's like, you didn't think everybody was watching?
There's that
Got
clip.
your dick all out?
Yeah, it's like people aren't going to talk. There's that clip of Luann at a reunion where they're like, Luann, you said in a room you were going to take Bethany down. She's like, I never said that. And if I did, I own it, whatever. And you're like, that's that you just gave 3 scenarios. Like, which one is it?
Because they're like, I don't know if I said it. Was it a hot mic moment? They're like, so in case they did.
Right. And then it's like, and also whatever. And you're like, well, I don't know if any of that is what I would have wanted you to say with that. But then it's just kind of wild. The whole thing is wild. So I don't know what's going to happen with reality TV. I feel like, unfortunately, it's getting faker and faker. And I think they're going, like, it's good when a new show comes out, like when Love is Blind is on season 1, because then they can get people who don't know the magnitude of what it's going to be. But then I do hear about, like, how do you feel about I do feel like it's a big scam, an issue with like people who are on Love is Blind for 1 season and you find out they were paid like almost nothing, they get no residuals. Like, it just feels like we're exploiting these people and then leaving them like, bye. So
interesting. And you know what, I love that you bring that up, because Cameron and Lauren, the couple from season 1 of Love is Blind, she said this is the first year that they chose not to watch the show or like participate in anything Love is Blind. And I wonder if it's because they feel like their love has kind of like been exploited a little bit, or there's no payment. Because she also had a podcast where she would recap it and talk about it, and she was like, I'm not doing that this year. So
I know.
I'm curious. That's a theory.
Yeah, I think they really do leave people high and dry when it comes to like afterwards, you know. Even just
I think there should be some kind of like a contractual agreement. Like, this sounds crazy but it is reality TV. So like, if your marriage lasts X amount of years, you get this kind of percentage in the company of some sort for Love is Blind. Or if it lasts this amount of years and you do a press tour, like, then you get X amount more. Because there's another girl, they just brought her on as like the new casting person, her and her husband. Well, just her. I'm like, I wonder if they were just giving her a job just out of like good faith to keep her happy. I don't know.
Wait, interesting.
Yeah, Chelsea and Kwame. And she's like the blonde girl who ended up marrying the Nigerian guy.
Yeah.
So now she's the new casting. She's the new casting director for Love is Blind. So she'll be the person talking to all the couples, all future singles about coming on the show.
Yeah, that feels weird to me.
Yeah, right?
Because I'm like, I mean, I don't know who should be interviewing the people, but I would think it should be like a therapist or somebody who, I don't know, not that girl. Like, I don't think anyone in the cast is qualified.
Because I'm still concerned about her relationship, to be honest. Right. I'm like, you think you should be the one? You were on the show because you didn't think you had good, like, you needed help. So, right. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And then I guess, like, yeah, I don't know, because I wonder how much money Netflix makes from that show.
Right.
I'm sure it's a crap ton of money. And so it just makes you think.
It's got to be, because if we're on season 6, they're like, and it costs low production for them. It's just already like a set. Low production. So, yeah.
They're making bank. And none of the cast makes any royalties or anything.
Oh.
I don't know. Dang. That's kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy. Like, I do feel some kind of way about that, especially if the show is going to be on for a long time.
Yeah. It would just be
Yeah.
nice if like if it does well, if everyone does well. I feel like that's always
Right.
a good strategy really for anything where I'm like, if we all win, we should all win. And if we all lose, like I get that not then everybody loses. But yeah, I think and I do like shows that have like a group of friends already going into it. Like that is nice. Not faking it where they're like, we're
Yes, it's
really
just
good
already
friends.
pre-built-in click. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they have
I feel
like
that way about the new cast of The Real Housewives of New York City. The new New York, those
yeah.
women, they seem like they were already kind of like a group of friends already, as opposed to like over the seasons, us like just making a really good hodgepodge of people forced to be friends.
Yeah, especially when some of them were always not friends with each other, but
And you can tell you're like, they're
staying
not
on.
talking when they're not filming. So if they're not talking
Yeah.
when they're not filming, then we're just picking up where we left off.
Oh, and people say that all the time too. They're like, "Well, we haven't texted since filming," and you're like, "Okay, well, you know what that means." Like, that's
We
not
ain't
good.
friends, ho.
Right? We're not friends, and people say that they're like, "We work together. This is work. Like, you are my coworker, and I hate you."
I love hearing people on reality TV when they're trying to not break the fourth wall and they're like,
Yeah.
let's say someone's like not sharing enough of their life and they'll be like, we have a job to do and it is your job to share.
I know.
You're like, oh, it is a job. You did sign up.
I know.
Yeah.
But then it's like, can you not have boundaries? Like, I think what's really sad about reality TV is like a lot of the shows that are when you look back had a huge thread of people who had an alcohol issue. Like there's either a really big thread of people who kind of like can't control their alcohol and are openly struggling with alcohol addiction. And then the show either becomes them becoming sober. Like half the shows have a half sober cast, half like, and I'm like, okay, so can we have a show that like isn't based around alcohol?
Yeah, it's not based. Okay, this is my idea. Let's get
Yeah.
a reality TV show that's like a little bit meta. Like
Oh,
maybe it's kind of like Joe, like we were talking about how like we fooled everyone to thinking that they
yeah, I
were
love
dating.
that.
But this one, people think they're on a reality TV show, but actually it's like a competition show of some sort. But they don't know they're in a competition. They just think that they're filming a reality TV show. But we as viewers, I don't know. I'm
funny.
spitballing here. I'm spitballing here.
No, that's funny because I mean, you can even tell because some people who go on reality TV shows like are producing themselves. They're like 4 minutes in the future. They're thinking, how is this going to look? And so it would be really funny to like, have that person be like, we found a dead, a random arm in your bathroom. Like just to watch them. I don't know if that's a good prank as much but it's like to watch them have these horrific. I guess it's like Punked. Remember Punked?
Or it's kind of like in my mind, I'm thinking it's kind of like traders. Like we'll get people who are actually been on reality TV and let them think we're creating a new reality TV show. But really, there are challenges within there that it's like, actually, no, you're not on a reality TV show. And also, this might be mean. I'm like, any money you were gonna make, it's gonna go to a charity of your choice. Now, if you do win,
a charity of our choice, of America's choice.
And there will be voting lines. We'll just throw it in for American Idol's sakes. We'll vote. We'll text in votes.
Vote, text. What you have to do. I mean, that's a show that like seems like it's a reality show that isn't. Did you watch Jury Duty?
No, tell me about it.
You didn't? It was on Amazon. Am I getting it right? Jury Duty or the jury or something? It was similar to Joe, that thing where it's essentially a group of actors are pretending they have jury duty. There's only one guy who thinks that it's real and they're doing a documentary. They chose the perfect guy though, because he is like the sweetest, kindest, like most just fabulous guy there ever was. And like when they revealed it, essentially though, you found out that afterwards he was freaking out because what he thought was real for like 3 months was
it was 3 months of jury duty.
It was like something happened that they all had to stay in a hotel together. Like they had set up all of these things that he was maybe, but it was a long time and this guy thought
I feel
it
like
was
your
real.
mind would be messed up after that. You're like,
was.
no, that was not okay.
He's like, are you guys telling the truth now? Like, he really thought, I think a lot of the cast, they're still friends, you know? But, like, a huge part of it for him was, like, you know, the people that he thought he was friends with, they were just performing. You have to watch this show.
Yes. It's like the traitors. People be like, but are you a traitor? But you could be.
Yeah, and then they're like, I'm a faithful. I'm a faithful through and through. And you're like, well, a traitor would say that. That's what a traitor would say. You have to watch that show, though. It's so good.
Oh my God. I feel bad for him now. Now that, like, I know how it ends, I'm just like, oh.
But when you watch
Is
him,
any of this real?
I know. He's like the sweetest guy ever. I think he's getting like a lot of opportunities from this, which is great. I don't know if that's what he wanted.
Free therapy?
I hope he gets therapy. And I don't even know what a therapist would say, because he's like, I'm worried everyone's lying to me. And you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Because for a few months, a bunch of people lied to you all the time.
Your mom, your dad, everyone was in on it. We were all lying to you.
They were all lying to him. I mean, not his family, but I think they, you know, said you can't have your phone in jury duty. Something like that. Oh,
yeah, that's true. You can't be like on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was really secluded. I'm like, God, that would work on me too. Because whenever I think anyone has authority and they tell me to do something, I always do it. I would never question.
Jessie, you can't do that. You're going to get trapped into a cult one day.
I know. I've always said that. I'm a perfect target for a cult. I truly am. And I hope no cult leaders are listening. Because I have friends that would question my moves and get me out of it. But yeah, most of the time I just believe people. What other shows do you like to watch? Reality shows or shows?
What other reality shows do
you like HGTV?
Oh my gosh, I love a good House Hunters.
Yeah.
And I love the formula behind House Hunters. It's so smoothing. It's like ASMR of some sort.
Truly.
Now, the only thing I don't like about House Hunters is if they show me homes in like a basic ass neighborhood that's like realistically affordable. I'm like, I didn't come to watch House Hunters to see a home for under $100K and still not be able to afford it. I came here to look at luxury real estate that I know I can't afford.
I love, like,
and I'm going to shit on all of it.
Yeah. I love a lottery dream home. I love like a second beach house. You know what I mean? I'm in it for that.
Yeah. Yeah. When they do like the vacation homes, House Hunters, love that. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Me too.
Or a House Hunters renovation. Ooh, I love a good reno.
God, me too. In 30 minutes, we get to reno the whole house.
Instant gratification.
That's what it is. Better. Yeah. It's literally, we don't have to wait for anything. I mean, 15 minutes in, they're like the contractor. And I'm like, I bet we're going to figure this out in 15 minutes. That's what I bet.
Yeah. And then they struggle just a little bit. They're like, I guess we got to live in a construction zone. And you're like, yeah, we just got to toughen it out and live in it.
Sorry.
Or they're like, we have to spend another 10 grand that we didn't have in the budget. You're like, but somehow you found it in the budget.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, the foundation's actually shot. I'm like, I knew it. I knew it.
I felt it.
Driving up, I said, that foundation is not together. We're going to have a big problem. I know.
Another great reality TV show that I loved that was only got one season on Netflix. I need to bring it back. Was Marriage or Mortgage. And they go with couples and they decide whether they want to do the wedding of their dreams or get the home of their dreams.
Absolutely. I did watch that show as well. But, you know, when they really break it down like that, I was like, how is anybody picking marriage?
And no one did what I said they should do because they weren't listening to me.
No, they weren't, girl.
You buy the house, make sure it's nice and got a backyard, wedding in the backyard. We're doing a cute at-home wedding. What's
a location in one? That's brilliant.
Like, why is no one doing this? Everyone had backyards.
Yeah,
so you
everybody.
could have both.
But you know, you really you hear about the flowers and the candles and the food, and you go, that seems like such a waste of money
for some people that you don't even like. So you could feed them.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Get that house, throw a housewarming party. Let's call it a day.
Yeah, what do you do it when you have a housewarming party? Stock the bar. And you tell people to come stock your bar. That's what you do.
Exactly. And like you have like some easy food that isn't going to cost you, $10,000.
Right.
You just
Guys,
order
you're
in
doing it all wrong.
Chili's. Yeah,
We're
whatever
just
you're gonna
ordering
do.
Chili's.
Do it. Like, it doesn't have to be
Get
that
a
big a
bloomin'
deal.
onion from Outback.
Yeah, let's go. Literally, that show, I was watching it, but every time they were like, so you could have this party or you could have this home, like, and start to see your future. And I was like, well, how? No one's gonna pick wedding, even though sometimes people did. And I'd be like, what are you doing?
And the sad part was everyone who chose wedding, when they filmed this, it was during the pandemic. So everyone got a shitty pandemic wedding.
No.
I'm like, so you spent all that money to not have the wedding of your dreams still. And you still are renting. Okay.
No.
You're still renting and living in this tiny place with your fresh husband in this tiny spot during a pandemic.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's not right.
Mm-mm.
We did not think that through. That was a
We
fun
didn't think it
show. Did you ever start watching like I think it's called The Only Way is Essex?
Yes. Come on.
Okay, I love a British reality show. Nothing better.
Townie, let's go. Yes.
So good.
And that was when it still has seasons, I believe, but that
I
show
know,
was
and
like
that one girl, Chloe Sims, I only know this because I went on a deep dive somewhere, and she has a reality show because now she lives in LA with her family on like this kind of unknown network that I think is behind an app, or it's like an app, like the show is in an app where I'm like, oh, it's like The Sims, but I'm like, good for her. She said, sign me up, and she was signed up.
oh my gosh.
There was a lot of cheating on that
not
show.
Gemma.
Oh.
Gemma, I feel like she got a lot of attention.
Yeah. But where is she now?
That's a good question. I feel like I just always see memes about her. I'm claustrophobic, Derek.
Yeah, or I'll hear her sound clips where she's like, where they're like, do you think that you're the problem? And she's like, no, well, yeah, I could be toxic. Yeah. And you're like, I agree.
Yes. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, what else do they say? They'd be like, oh, I forget. I used to, when I was
watching the first
season,
they were all about being bejazzled. First season was like 2009, 2010, and that was when bejazzled was trending.
One of the girls literally was a bejazzlist or whatever. I'm like,
she's like, oh my God, babes, we're gonna get you looking right. We're gonna get you bejazzled.
Yeah, like what color? The whole thing. Oh man, that one guy. Oh, but they all cheated. They all cheated on that show. That was the sad
that one
part.
guy. God, I can't think of who the one guy was. He had like the dark hair, and he was with like the blonde girl, and their relationship was super toxic, always back and forth.
I know. It was, you guys, if you haven't seen that show, watch it. But just be prepared that almost every relationship does have a breakup because somebody cheats.
Oh, it was Mark and Lauren. It was gonna bother me. It was Mark and Lauren.
And oh my God, Lauren would almost murder him too. And like that world, it felt very much like, how could you do this? How could you let it get back to me? Do you know what I mean? It wasn't how could you cheat on me? It was like, how could you let this get out? And I remember being like,
sloppy. You're like
sloppy. That was,
she doesn't care that you did it. She just cares that it got out.
Totally. I felt like that was a through line in that show.
And their parents were the same way, because on this reality show, their parents just be popping up in their flats all the time. And their parents don't discourage their messiness. They're just like, oh my God, lock it up. Think about your family.
Yeah,
when you thinking about your family, you weren't thinking about your family, Mark. Lock it up.
And you'd be like, I wasn't always faithful to your mother. And you'd be like, Dad, what? And then it's like, then you get him a present, you got to grovel. And then next time you do it, like, be careful, dude. It's like, what? The show was crazy, but I love it.
The show is so good. Guys, watch The Only Way is Essex.
It's the only way. Okay, I just called to say the only show you really need to watch is Couple to Thruple. If you want to go for a wild ride right now, like that is such a funny, crazy show. Have you seen it?
Is it on Peacock?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. It's been telling me to watch it. And I'm like, that title is just so silly. I can't.
It's silly. It's crazy. I mean, the show is crazy. I remember it, you know, being like, you should watch it. And I was like, I don't think. And then one of my friends was like, I'm watching it and it's insane. So I said, well, me too. And it really is crazy. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's beyond kind of psycho.
I gotta give it a go. Honestly,
interesting.
the last time I was turned off by a show title was Broad City, and I was like, that is an awful title, and so I was like late to watch the show. And then when I finally watched it, I was like, I can't believe I'd almost missed the show because the title of it turned me off. And Broad City was like the most iconic show for me in that time because I was like in the same time age as them that they were projecting themselves, and I was like, as a stoner girl, I get this.
Totally.
You know? So I'm not gonna let this couple to thruple throw me off. I'm gonna give it a shot. It's
give it a
my
shot.
next best.
It's funny. It's funny. It's wild.
But it's funny.
It's like, it's, you know, and there are some people that you're like, I get it. And some people you're like, I don't get it, but it's fun to watch it.
Guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. Like, subscribe, follow, tell your mom and them, and listen anywhere a podcast can be heard. But you can only watch on Spotify and YouTube. Beep, beep. Say bye, Jessie.
Oh, bye, Jessie.
She's like, is there a countdown to turn this off?
I literally am like, when do we know when it's over?